It's spring cleaning time. It's time to change the game. Time to flip the script. Who's this, Henry? Nah, it's Cheryl, bitch. We're gonna try something different. I challenge you. Have you ever broken into somebody's house to install an alarm? You ever left cookies out for your stalker? Quit thinking about yourself. You ever GHB'd somebody at the club, brought them back to your place, and just made them breakfast? Ooh, is that waffles? That's right, nothing naughty, nothing nasty. We about to forge a new path. Let's get into it. This is This Past Weekend.
This past weekend.
You never make it. 22 years old. Up above. Come on with me. You got to come on up. You got to hold on. You got to hold on, man. That's Alabama Shakes right there. That's Alabama Shakes with the song Hold On. And I got the Shakes in Alabama one time, man. I was out there in Pelham, Alabama, and I'd been out there with some other young gentlemen who I knew from childhood, and we'd been out there doing drugs. We were on drugs, on basically I think some ecstasy pills, to be honest with you, and we got caught up, and I just remember seeing this band Widespread Panic, and I mean I just felt full. I felt just like a bunch of damn doves had just climbed into my veins and were just making my heart beat with their wings, man. I felt just equipped with the spirit, but that could have been the drugs for sure. But I got the Shakes out there. I remember after that show, I laid out in a parking lot of a Hampton Inn, which is basically just a traveler's motel, really. And I smoked a pack of menthol cigarettes by myself, laying on my back, looking up at the stars. If there were stars, hell, it could have been cloudy, dude. It was BYOS at that point. I mean, I was pretty much leaking feelings, and I had the Shakes a little bit, man. And I remember just wondering what my life was going to be like. And then the next day I went and stalked one of my ex-girlfriends for a little while. So anyway, good to see you guys, man. It is a Monday, March 27th, and it is the year 2017, and that was Alabama Shakes with a little bit of Hold On, because sometimes you got to hold on, you know? Sometimes you'll hit a moment where you got to hold on. You can't let go, man. Whether you white knuckling it, you know, and you holding on, you know, and just making your own foundation, or if you holding on to somebody else, or if you're holding on just to an invisible power out in the universe, you know, sometimes you got to hold on. I just got back from Madison, Wisconsin, and that's white people country. You know, it's actually about 85% Caucasian, healthy. A lot of healthy people up there. A lot of thighs. It's really kind of a lot of brontosaurus type builds, you know, just solid, hardy, heavy hearts up there. Probably got 9 aortas on them up there in Wisconsin. Friendly, a lot of friendly people. You can feel when they shake your hand that they care a little bit, you know, and you can feel that, you could feel it up there. And I enjoyed it, man. I was at Comedy Club on State, and I want to thank everybody who came out, and we had a blast, man. We sold out a couple of shows, and everybody came and enjoyed themselves, and I enjoyed myself, man. I really did. I had a nice time out there, just being in the town of Madison. It's a pretty liberal area, but it has a lot of conservative values. I really think it's a nice. It's kind of progressive conservative, I feel like. And I feel like it's on a great track, that town of Madison, Wisconsin. It rained a little too, so caught a little free water there. And that was nice. Good to be here. Thank you guys for joining us this past weekend. What else, man? We'll get into the news. I'll chop into the news. I don't catch the news that much, but this weekend I absorbed some. The healthcare bill, it didn't pass, and on a lot of these news networks, they were just really beating apart the politicians or whatever that were putting it together. I just hope that they figure one out that does pass, that does work for everyone. I mean, it's a tough issue. I don't really have a million thoughts on politics, but when it comes to healthcare, I feel like it's almost inhumane if I don't feel like everyone deserves to be well or deserves to feel taken care of, especially in America where, I'm not a bookkeeper, but I'm sure if you got down to the brass tacks, we could find a way to afford it. But then you got a lot of people that don't take care of themselves, and so that's really the other side of the issue. Like, if somebody's just laying in the park all day shooting heroin and they don't care about their lives, but you're taking somebody's tax money who does care, I can understand why some people would think differently, So I certainly see the different perspectives. But I hope we find one that, that works for everybody, I really hope we do. And I don't know if there's a way, I don't really know, but it does bug me sometimes, that some of the news stations just, I don't know if they really seem interested in finding a way as much as they do just beating apart the people that are trying to figure it out. I just don't think the news is as helpful as it could be sometimes. When it comes to like political issues, healthcare is super important. Everybody needs a Band-Aid or a lung. Hell, I'll probably blow through something. I had a sister that was born with a bad liver. She only had about a quarter liver in her, and so she needed a liver transplant early. And I know that if it weren't for the healthcare system, we wouldn't have had that organ, And she's a little chatty, I'll admit that, but she's alive, and so I'm grateful to the systems that made that happen. In another country that might not have happened, might not have had my sister, So anyway, that's just my little personal thought on that. I think we got a lot of issues, man. If I were a political official, there are some things I would do, man. I'd have a neighbor day, where we find out who's in America. Because I feel like we don't know who's here. Kind of like roll call. Remember roll call when you were in the 3rd grade or the 7th grade or whatever? Whenever they finally checked on who was attending and they would just call your name. I think they should do that. Just a day where, everybody meets their neighbor, Everybody go out in the street and let's see who lives around you. Let's get a head count, And if somebody doesn't come out in the street, then they're creepy as fuck, dude. And maybe we need to keep tabs on them, Because if they don't want to be mingling a little bit, then that's, something's up. Something's awry, That's kind of like a political thing that pops in my head sometimes. If that's even political, I don't even know. It's just something that I would think would be pretty neat. Outside of that, another issue that sits on my heart sometimes is education reform, I just don't feel like we teach children skills that can really help them, like how to interact with one another, how to know if your friend is having a tough time, how to cheer somebody up if they're not doing well, I mean, I know it sounds like kind of some pretty gay shit, but I mean, I feel like those are things we could be teaching kids, I don't really care if Lamont knows about social studies, but I do care if he understands that one of his friends is maybe getting abused at home or something and he can recognize it, I just feel like we could teach kids acceptance. We could teach kids, how to love one another. I just feel like we could do a little bit better job of education reform in that sense, just teaching people how to care. I don't think you should be able to graduate the 5th grade until you're not racist. How about that? That'd be a great class, or until you realize what it means to be a contributing member of society, I just feel like there's a lot of things we could really be teaching children that's not factual, that's more instinctual and more, more of the heart, I guess. And that's just a thought of mine. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on anybody. I'm just, I guess, sharing whatever's in my brain. Another thing I've wondered is if people who have served in the military, if their vote shouldn't count for more than those who haven't. Like maybe their vote counts for 1 1/4 votes. And that might sound crazy to some people, but, I think it would certainly teach us all to have a different respect for our military. I mean, if somebody puts their ass on the line, I feel like they should get a little more, and maybe it's just they, get better packages when they're finished. But I just think that would be interesting if their vote counted for more than those of us who haven't served. And I haven't served. It's one thing I regret a lot. I mean, I wasted a few years of my life, surely, just probably spraying out and thinking about owning animals and, chasing trim around and, all kinds of just void fillers, where I probably could have sacrificed some of my time and got out there and into the bazooka trade, or whatever else they're doing, knife fighting, everything. So anyway, those are some things that popped into my head. Another news piece, Pizzagate, if you guys are familiar, but Pizzagate is basically Italian food and child molestation have joined forces in Washington, D.C., I believe it is. And it's something where there's, politicos and fancy pants people getting together in the middle of the night to do child molestation at a pizza place. And that seems to me like bullshit. I'm going to have to go ahead and throw that out there because, I've spent a lot of time around Italians, and they kiss, they'll kiss you on the neck. The men will kiss you on the neck sometimes. If you're at the racetrack, I'll see them sometimes kissing each other if their horses win and getting excited. And, they eat for a long time and look at each other in the eyes and stuff and drink wine. And I get what's going on. They're real loving, but I don't think that's going to lead to them loving a child so much that they're molesters. So that's why that whole story to me just seems like a bag of cat's bottoms, if you really look at that. If you want to find some child molesters, dude, go to a poor neighborhood. I think your interests are better looking around there. In a lot of wealthy neighborhoods, they have these HOA programs or these HOA groups, which are homeowners association that can make rules about who can live in the neighborhood and who cannot. So a lot of fancy neighborhoods can keep pedophiles out. So pedophiles, they're stuck at the gates, and unless they got long arms, they're not going to be able to reach the children, of the rich. But now I grew up in a poor neighborhood, and I'm not trying to say that that's anything special or that I'm better than anybody because of that, but we had surely some couple touchers by us, and we used to play kickball with two adult touchers. These men, I'll tell you this, they had a law in Louisiana. That's where I'm from. They had a law there in Louisiana, and that's one of the big 50 states, and where if you were a registered sex offender, that means you were, part of the union, I guess, and that you had to go door to door and knock on the door and tell the people in the home, in your neighborhood, you had to go door to door in your neighborhood and let people know that you are a pedophile, right? Well, in our neighborhood, it was all single parent families, and half the parents worked. So us kids, we were home alone all the time. So you'd have these touchers coming to the door, knocking and saying, I have to let you know that I'm a registered sex offender. Is your mother home? And we'd be like, we were children. We're like, she's not home right now, which is baffling in hindsight. Because then you got a pedophile standing right there with his desserts, really. And that was a law in Louisiana that you had to do that. Thankfully, once you know who the pedophiles are, the game changes, A lot of, these pedophiles and touchers, it's when you don't know who they are that they can practice their art, But so we knew. I mean, we used to play kickball with these two guys, Mr. Daniel. I don't remember the other guy's name. He was kind of swampy looking, didn't really take care of himself. But we played kickball with him. And Mr. Daniel, this one dude was combing his hair all the time. I mean, he'd comb his hair 9 times in a minute. Like he was just like he was just trying to just comb the darkness right out of his soul. Like he just wanted to comb the touching out of himself, or like he would look handsome enough that he wouldn't be a pedophile anymore. I felt bad for him sometimes. And then this other guy who never comb his hair, the irony. But we played kickball with him, and once we knew that they were, what some of their hobbies were, it took a lot of their power away. We'd fuck with them and, roll the ball, man. You ain't getting this ass, bro. Roll the ball. And, it almost put you on a level playing field once you knew who they were. So I guess there was some value in them going door to door, because then you put a name and a face with the dark arts that they had inside of them. So, but yeah, you want to find some kitty touchers. I don't think you need to mill around, a Papa John's out there in Washington, D.C. Why don't you come on down to Covington, Louisiana, and get out there off of McGee Street where I grew up. And I bet you they still got a couple of wild, tender gents out there trying to be fancy with the young, What else, man? What else, dude? Let's keep it moving. Dave Chappelle's Age of Spin came out on Netflix, and you can check that out. You can also check out my special on there while you're there, and it is called No Offense. You can look that up and drop 5 stars on it if you don't mind while you're there. But Dave Chappelle has a new special out, his first one in a long time, and it's 2 specials actually. And he's getting ripped up for making homophobic and transphobic jokes and remarks. And that to me, it's baffling, man. Here, I'll read a little bit of the article. The former Comedy Central star cracked jokes about Caitlyn Jenner and transgender people. Quote, whenever I see one of them T's on the street, I'm like, I don't mind them, but man, I miss Bruce, he said to laughter from the audience, talking about Bruce Jenner there. Then he goes on to say, I knew before you guys knew, he says of Jenner's sexuality. I heard things on the street in Hollywood. You used to be out, see people. Hey, what's up, Kanye? Why the long face? Nigga, you'll see. I got 2 mother-in-laws now. That was one of the jokes. That's funny, man. That could have been a real moment that Dave Chappelle talked to Kanye West. He can't share that moment. He can't share the reality of a moment because someone is going to be offended. I'm just amazed that if you turn on a comedy show, what do you expect? Dave Chappelle's not a preacher. He's not a teacher. He's not a politician. He's a comedian. It's a comedy show. That's why there's lights, a stage, an audience. It's just baffling to me, the freedom of speech. There's no, it's freedom of speech, but only if you want to say certain things, right? And that's not freedom. You know, I mean, comedians like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, even though they're still like lauded as the best, if they wouldn't be able to say what they said today. And that's crazy. When you look and say, oh, those guys are the best, but then when you put them through this filter of whatever's going on today and say, oh, they wouldn't be the best, they would be ostracized, something's wrong with the filter, not with the talent. You know, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And it seems like the only people you can still make fun of without the media getting upset are rednecks, poor white people, and white people, you know? And I don't think that that's fair. You know, I grew up poor and white. Trust me, it was hard enough, you know, feeling less than. You know, that was hard enough. I didn't need people making fun of me. It feels miserable, you know, being poor and, you know, surrounded by a lot of, you know, just ignorance and destitution and, you know, addiction and all the things that come with a poor environment, pedophiles, kickballing men, you know, just I feel like there was enough going on with that where we don't need to be the last group of people that it's okay to make fun of as far as, you know, mainstream media is concerned. And maybe that's just my feelings. And, you know, I'm sorry if I'm getting caught up in my feelings here a little bit, but it's like anybody else gets made fun of. Latinos, blacks, gay, transgender. That's all, you know, horrible. But if you still want to make fun of poor or ignorant white people, that's okay. It's not okay to me, you know? I feel like fucking let's make fun of everybody, you know? I mean, we're making fun. We're making fun, you know? So it's just baffling, man. I support Dave Chappelle. I support all comedians, you know? I mean, I have friends that are every creed and color and style, asexual even comedians. And I love all their material. You know, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? You know, I'm not doing it. That's for damn sure, dude. I am not doing it. All right, guys, I'm going to drop a few dates on you, and then we're going to move on to some callers. And I'll talk a little bit more about my weekend as we go through it. Upcoming dates, I'll be performing in Sacramento, April 21st through 23rd, and that is at the Punchline in Sacramento. May 25th through 28th, I'll be in Tampa, Florida at Side Splitters Comedy Club. June 1st through June 4th, I'll be in Pittsburgh, where I caught pink eye one time up there in the Monongahela, and actually got a blowjob there behind a giant eagle, which is just a Kroger. It's a chain grocer. And that'll be June 1st through 4th at Pittsburgh Improv. And then I'll be at the Calusa Casino Resort, June 9th. And honestly, I don't even know where that is. So those are those dates. And yeah, I'm sorry if I am getting a little, you know, maybe I am getting a little political today, man. You know, just a lot. I mean, it's tough. It is tough to navigate through life sometimes, especially these days for me. And sometimes I just get agitated. You know, and sometimes I let it happen to me. I let it happen by even reading the news. You know, I should have stayed out of the dang news, man. I should have just read my book. I got this new book about truck drivers. All right, let's get to some callers, man. I want to thank everybody for hitting the hotline. Now, if you're not familiar with the hotline, that number is 985-664-9503. That's an American number that you can call and express your thoughts, feelings, concerns, issues that you're dealing with. I'm not a licensed dude, you know, but I've had a lot of experiences, and I'm happy to share them with you and offer any suggestions that I can. And we're talking about masturbation and some of those issues, you know, and I grew up, you know, I've dealt with that over the years, you know, watching the pornography and dealing with the self-skeet, you know, alone pleasures. You know, I'm no stranger to it. First time I got into masturbation, you know, I found some some titty literature and fancy booklets in my brother's closet. And I found a bottle of peach Alizé at the same time. And that was a liquor or a liqueur of sorts. It was pretty much an African American liquor, I think, at the time. But I found a bottle of it in my brother's closet, and next thing you know, I was into I was getting dark. I was, spraying out and enjoying the pleasures of pornography and liquor. So, and some of that stuck with me for a while. Throughout my life, I've noticed that, instead of going on dates, I would just, watch pornography. And a lot of my friends have reached out to me recently, my friends, and said that they're dealing with some of the same stuff, and they're, doing naughty things by themselves, even though they have wives and families and everything. And it's really an issue because that stuff's pretty wild out there. And we're going to get to some calls here. We had a couple people call in about it. And I want to thank everybody who called in. I'll try to get to the ones that I can, ones that are appropriate. Some people called and were actually doing masturbation on the phone, on the hotline, and that's, I don't know who that's for. That's not for me, that's for them. And I didn't want that, but we got a little bit of that. And maybe we'll put that in some outtakes at some point. But for now, we're going to stick to the plan here. Let's see what we got.
What's up, Theo? This is Chris calling from South Florida.
Chris from South Florida. I'm going to stop him right there. South Florida, I'm going to say, if you don't know it, it's a hotbed of anarchy. I'm going to start with that. Deviants. A lot of deviants end up there. Jugglers, magicians, pedophiles. A lot of pedophiles are arrested in Florida. What else? People with swords, dolphins, atheists. They got it all. So this guy's already in a tough situation.
I'm a big fan of you, big fan of the podcast, and seems like I'm kind of struggling with some of the same things you are. The pornography, I've stopped drinking alcohol like you have, and the biggest problem for me is that I feel like I have nothing to go to whenever I get stressed out. I have no way to bring myself that instant pleasure and kind of take me out of my thoughts.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I'm going to interrupt you right there and say that, you hit it on the head. You got to take yourself out of your thoughts, because that's what's leading you there. Your thoughts will lead you to actions, and your actions will lead you to better thoughts. So you're going to have to, I suggest that you're going to have to create some better actions, bro. So
my question for you is what are some of the things you do to help relax and help to relieve some of your stress other than drinking alcohol and watching pornography?
Well, Chris, I will try to. The biggest thing for me is closing the day. Like I can go all day with no issues. Fortunately, I've never had the problem of, wanting to watch pornography during the day or, jerking off in my truck or anything like that. I remember when I was young, they used to have men that would park back behind the Winn-Dixie, which was a shopping, meat and produce grocer, and you'd see them back there jerking off. But I never had that issue of daytime self-pleasure. And for a lot of people, the issue is in the evening, and it becomes a habit. Like a lot of people aren't even enjoying masturbation anymore. They're not enjoying the pornography. It's just a habit that they've created. So you got to create some new habits. And if it's at the end of the day or in the evening when you're struggling, then that's when you got to create some new habits and you got to practice them. Sometimes what helps me is to do a meditation, man. And I know it sounds, wild and cheesy, but when you meditate, you kind of take control of yourself back from your environment. because there's so many things that are just wanting our attention these days and getting our attention. And pornography is a huge one of those. I mean, dude, you can log on and there's breasts and there's lipstick and, foursomes and brothers wearing sneakers, fucking women, I mean, these men are showing up to fuck, dude. If you got on a couple New Balance and a hard cock, bro, that's some real dictivity, brother. So, and that stuff can get addicting to watch. So you have to set yourself into a better mode. And I usually do that with a little bit of meditation. You can sit down. A meditation that a friend of mine taught me, you inhale real slowly for 8 seconds. And you count while you're inhaling, and then you hold that inhale for 4 seconds. And then you exhale slowly for 8 seconds. Just count it in your head. And then you wait 4 seconds before you start to inhale again. And you just keep repeating that cycle. Do that for 10 minutes. And it might sound crazy. You might only be able to do 5 minutes at first. But if you can get to 10 minutes, man, it'll really set you in a more calmer state where you are more in control of what you're going to do next. And then I'd find, a better activity. If you need to make sure you leave your phone and your computer in the other room, if you need to read a book, those are things. And also, those are things you can do that will help. And also finding a higher power, like it doesn't have to be God. I'm not trying to lead anybody to religion, but if you can find, somebody, if you don't have someone, a higher power that you can say, look, I don't want to do this anymore. Please take away the desire for me to do this. And by putting that out there, you're voicing what you want, that you don't want to be watching masturbation or pornography anymore. And that kind of stuff can really help, man, because sometimes even creating a higher power can just create like some accountability for you. Another thing that I do is, this is going to sound kind of weird, but I do my mother got me a coloring book, one of those adult coloring books. I'll use that sometimes. Just to keep my mind occupied. I will also read. And there's meetings you can go to, bud. I'll be honest with you. There's sex and love addiction meetings, SLAA it's called. And there's tons of men in those who can relate to your same exact issues. But I recommend some spirituality, I recommend some meditation. Just things that are going to help you reclaim yourself, because it sounds like you don't want to be doing these things anymore. And that these are outside influences that are really reaching for you and getting a hold of you. So if you can reclaim yourself some, you're going to have a stronger fortitude from which to keep those things from accessing you. And you can email me as well, man. You can email me directly through my website. I can send you some links for local sex and love addiction meetings that are near you, where you can meet people who, are dealing with the same stuff, man. And I appreciate you calling and asking about it. I hope I was able to offer a little bit of thoughts and guidance there. All right, let's get another call here.
Hey, Theo. My name is Ahmad, man. I love your show.
Ahmad, love that name. Sounds kind of foreign, maybe. Originally foreign, now probably an American name as well. Desert descendant, respect, Ahmad. Beige power, bro. Beige power. Let's go.
You got a lot of wisdom. I'm calling you today because I like what you have to say about masturbation, man. About, I'm a young guy. I'm 22, college-age student, good-looking guy, and it's too much, bro. It's too much. I'm calling you today to ask you about advice for laying off masturbation and pornography.
Yeah, man. It's too much. It's too much, man. I agree. I think it's one of the biggest things that is affecting men our age. We can't battle it. Like, how can you, if you're built in limbically, I think that's the term, in your, in your core brain to want to get some puss or want to hunt down a piece of ass or some titty, you're going, and then you're just flooded with it in high definition. It is too much. It's like the devil got some machine gun and it's filled with pussy bullets and they are coming at you constantly. I feel you, man. It's too much.
And especially when it seems, to me at least, that in my age group and at my university, this is such a normal thing. It seems like everybody watches pornography.
Well, I'm going to stop you there and say that, that's it. Yeah, it does probably seem like that, and that's probably true, but that isn't a reason to be doing it. If everybody's, killing whales with hammers and shit, you can't be out there, swimming around with hardware, dude. So you gotta, it can't be because everybody is doing it. That's not why you're doing it. I'm guessing.
It seems like everybody's still getting laid. I don't know. Maybe I need to stop taking what it seems like for the actuality. Any advice to stop masturbation and stop pornography and get back out there to talk to women would be greatly appreciated, Theo. Have a good time, bro.
Well, there's two different things here, Ahmad. You got pornography and masturbation, I think that masturbation is tougher to stop than to watching the pornography. The pornography, there's special filters you can get to put on your computer. There's special software you can get so you're not able to access it on your computer. So that's, those are some small things that can help. But also getting out there, period, and finding new things to do are going to keep you from the habit of going to pornography. And I'll tell you this, man, at your age, you're 20, I think you said 22. If you get out there and learn to talk to women now, while everybody else is spraying out and everybody else is, geeking their own meat, you are going to be heads and shoulders above the rest of your class. Think about it like this, like everybody else is going left, you go right. If everybody else is cranking it out and spraying, you get out there and meet a girl, It seems like that's going to be a great place for you to start, is just by practicing actually communicating with women in real time. And that alone, even just having some interaction and some fulfillment by having some real communication from the opposite sex, that could start to do wonders for even your desire to want to masturbate or to want to watch pornography. So maybe that's where I would start. I'd start communicating with some women of the opposite sex, even if it's, small talk or just, if next time a girlfriend introduces you to her friend, even if the friend is not a woman you're attracted to, just practice communicating with her, talk, share what's going on. I think just even building up some of that ability to communicate with women can take you out of using porn to communicate with women or feel like you're fulfilling that void of not having communication with women. So maybe just getting out there and building real communication, I think could really help, man. All right, let's take another call here.
What's up, Theo? My name's Chris from Nevada over here, and talking about your
Nevada, that's waterbed country. I'll say that.
Pornography question. I would just like to say that out of all the addictions that I have, pornography has to be the worst one, and it's actually gotten so bad to the point where I can't get off with my girlfriend as much as I should be able to, and I think it's specifically due to porn. It's me seeing all these girls with huge tits, huge asses, and a perfect figure, absolute bombshells, and my girlfriend's not ugly by any means, but she's also not a porn star, so.
Yeah, I'll say this, Chris, before you even finish that, the resolution on pornography is clearer and brighter than actual life. So, the sex that we're looking at on the internet, it ain't even as freaking, real life piece of ass isn't as HD as the screen ass. It's not even so. Yeah, the reality is that your girlfriend could never compete. She could because she can't make her ass and genitals in HD. I mean, she can't make them, as well lit as a lot of these porn stars are. And I'll say this too, man. I have some friends that are porn stars. Porn stars overall, I feel like, look best on screen. So it's not. It's a ruse. It's meant to be a fictional universe. It's like whenever you see like a truck commercial. They're not showing you the truck when it isn't working that good, or when it's dirty, or when, there's 9 kids in it or whatever, and there's starbursts, stuck on the carpet and all of that. They're showing you the glossy when it's bouncing on the rocks and everything, right? So what you're watching isn't even reality. Let's just start there.
I think it actually has a big impact on me and my sex life, and I actually would love some advice on how to stop fucking watching it, because it actually is becoming a bad thing in my relationship, because it's stimulating me so much that now my girlfriend's not doing it for me. It's something that's real and tangible, something that I can feel for some reason isn't doing it for me. Like, I need to watch porn as we're fucking and stuff, and it's really becoming a burden on our relationship.
Wow. Yeah, man, it sounds like you're in the dragon's den there, dude. If you're having to watch pornography during sex, yeah, that means that you're needing this whole universe that's online. You're needing all that stimulation as well as real life stimulation. So you're going to have to find a way to take a step back. I would suggest, you're probably so caught up in your own orgasm, that if you can't even come anymore when you're doing sex, then I would try and just focus on maybe your girlfriend. I would start there. I'd focus on your girlfriend and not even worry about your own orgasm, because I'm sure she's probably really suffering at the hands of this if you are having a real addiction to pornography, and to all that butt work, and if you're watching all of that. So I would try to bring her to orgasm and just worry about that, man. Get your chick gassing up. And I think maybe hopefully that will help inspire you, and help inspire a little bit more, feeling into your wiener and everything. I think that's probably a good place to start, is just to focus on her. And sometimes that can be, if you really need to build a connection, like I used to lay next to my ex-girlfriend and just lay next to her for a while until I really felt connected before I started really revving up the sex activity. And sometimes that would help, just really trying to feel her body and just feel that physical connection, that connectivity. And second of all, man, if you're going to keep watching porn, I would try and, if you feel like if a woman's body in real life isn't doing it for you and you're going to continue to watch it, watch some other stuff, watch big girls, or watch, African American or Indian women, or watch, bald women, or, short girls, or something where you're at least going to see a plethora of things. So you're not going to be so figmented or so focused on just a couple of images in your head, that you're trying to aspire or make your girlfriend become in real life this, big tittied, little sex kitten, Find some women that are a little more burlesque, a little bit more, Statue of Liberty kind of hiding under the dress, and I think at least that'll probably at least give your mind, a larger or a wider idea of what real women are, that they're, all different shapes and sizes, and that their bodies are real things. And then second of all, man, again, I'm going to say that the SLAA meetings, look it up online, Sex and Love Addiction Anonymous, I think it's called. and you can go there and you can get a sponsor. And I mean, you can really solve your problems, bro. I mean, you really, really can. And you can do it with a sponsor and somebody that's going to kind of hold you accountable. Because, you said it out of the gate that you called it an addiction. So if you're already there where you know it is, it sounds like you might want to get some pro help on that, But I feel you, it's powerful, dude. We're battling. I mean, just the titties alone. And the crazy thing is, after a while, you don't even see the titties. You're just looking at the crotches, and you just looking at things that are glistening and the magic of them. All these ladies are doing, spreading everything, and you don't even notice their kneecaps or their feet or anything. You just crotch centric, really, and people got their buttholes out, and it's, man, it's heavy. It's heavy, dude. So yeah, I would try that. I would try to focus on just pleasuring your girlfriend, make it about her, so that way you're not stuck in your own head. And then I would try maybe seeing about a SLAA, man, check it out. It's a real program that's out there and it's everywhere. And there's a lot of dudes struggling with it, and it's real stuff, man. All right, guys, I actually got to go to sleep soon, so I'm going to call this. I appreciate the calls. I had another one that I wanted to get to. Someone had called in about what it's like to move to Los Angeles, but I'll tap into that next week. I appreciate you guys joining me for this past weekend and listening to some of this. If you have any constructive criticisms or suggestions about how to make the podcast better, write them in the comments, on YouTube's or on SoundClouds, and let me know. I'm learning as I go. I'm just trying to share some of the experiences that I've had, and just trying to be there for each other if we can, and I appreciate, you guys calling in with your issues, because it makes me realize that issues that I have in my life, that I'm not alone, that these are real things that a lot of, men and women are dealing with. Because I want to be in a comfortable relationship where I can enjoy sex and enjoy touching, just touch a woman's shoulder and feel good, and feel sexy, and feel maybe an erection, like they used to do in the 50s or the 60s, and just come home and have your lady baking a cake or something, and you guys do sex in the kitchen, and it doesn't have to be, that there has to be pornography or dirty toys around, or flavored lubricants or anything like that. So I'm hopeful, man. I am hopeful. I'm going to say that I am hopeful. And with that, I think that's what I'm going to lead us out of here with today, man. A little bit more hope, because that's where we started at. So that's where we're going to leave at. I hope we didn't get too political and stuff this week, man. I didn't mean to. I just sometimes get agitated, But I'm going to hold on, man. Bless my soul. 22 years old. That's you, Ahmad. Quit skeeting, bruh. Back off that cock, daddy. You better than that. Let your nuts fill up, bruh. Shut that computer down, man. Crack a book. Get you some Mark Twain or some Chucky Dickens, Get back to your roots, Get back to something real. Bless yours too. Bless yours too, man. What I'm gonna do? Up above. Somebody up above, baby. You got to find some faith, man. Ask somebody else if they're having a problem too. That can really help you, because, if you can find a friend that's dealing with the same stuff, then y'all can deal with it together, man. Everything's easier to deal with not alone. I spent a lot of my life trying to battle everything alone, feeling like, just feeling like, I don't know, maybe like I wasn't a man if I couldn't solve it myself, But that's not true. None of that's real. The only thing that's real is that you have a problem and that you need to solve it. And that's kind of vanilla icy, but, just don't do it alone. That's the reality. That it's going to be easier to solve if you got somebody else helping you, or if you're helping someone else, man. Share your experience. You'll be surprised who will be able to relate to you. That's all we're trying to do here, is share some experiences. I'm exhausted, man. I had a great weekend, and this was really the pinnacle of it, was getting to just sit here and chat with you guys. And thank you guys for supporting the podcast. If you want to call in next week, call in. Let me see what's going on. We'll just make it random. Try to lay off the masturbation for a week. But I know that I'm not going to skeet out tonight, man. I think I got enough fodder in my brain. I'm going to save it up. Save it for something special. Maybe a holiday coming up, Maybe Easter. Find me a little Easter bunny out in the wild and share my seed the old-fashioned way, in a real scenario. All right, you guys be good, man. Take care. Bonsoir. Bonsoir.